Hi everyone, this is just a mini lecture on introducing and integrating sources into your essays and how to capitalize on your excellent, credible, articulate, reliable sources that you've worked hard to find in your research. Um, the image here on the slide is from a box of pancakes. How do you wow? The quote is, "I love making these, and my kids love them too. So delicious." Um, and the source is Michelle from Facebook. Now, it's fine for a box of pancakes. This is a box of pancakes. You don't really need a reliable, credible source. It's an ad. It's not really required to have data to support that these pancakes are delicious. But if you were writing, say, an essay about, I don't know, gun control, and you cited a gun statistic, and your source was Bob from Instagram, I think your readers would be a little suspect, right? And they would be right. You want credible, reliable sources. And you want to introduce them and integrate the quotes from them well into your essay, and that's what this is about. So, here's an example. In her article entitled Cinderella Ate My Daughter, Martha Olds, a journalist for the New York Times, bemoans the princess mania, quote, princess mania, that is sweeping the country. So, just that little phrase, a journalist for the New York Times, establishes Martha Olds' credibility. It's something you want to do in your essays, right? If you're talking about some medical issue, it's really great to have an author who is the director of the Harvard School of Medicine, right? Instant credibility lends weight to the idea or the quote. Jane Smith, inventor of the microchip and founder of Sun Microsystems, predicts that nanotechnology will most heavily influence the next wave of processing. Well, that person is in a good position to talk about technology, right? Nanotechnology. So find sources that are reliable, that are credible, and tell us about their credibility. Take a look at this. The happiness provided by frequent small pleasures helps make sense of the modest correlation between money and happiness. Gilbert 442. Now, we don't know who Gilbert is. This is kind of a disconnected quote. Better to do this. According to Dan Gilbert, a Yale psychologist specializing in happiness studies, quote, then we know who we're dealing with, someone who is an expert in their field. They're talking about psychology. This is someone who's an expert in happiness studies, etc. Let's take another look. So, gender roles are illustrated through the Cinderella protagonist. Quote, the princes were noticeably absent and had few characteristics, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to. The content of this doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to get you to see is gender roles are illustrated through the Cinderella protagonist. According to Jennifer Welsh, a UCLA folklore professor and author of Disney Princes and Princesses Still Slaves to Some Stereotypes, personalities of the princes. Okay, I think you're seeing where I'm going. Avoid stranded quotations, which are just quotes that just suddenly appear in a paragraph. We don't know who the person is, right? Here's a statistic, right, that is attributed to Smith, right? Better to tell us who this person is. According to World Health Organization statistics reported by Yale sociology professor Pierre Smith, 86% of French couples live together before they get engaged. I think you see where I'm going. The other thing is integrate those quotes fluidly into your text. Take a look at this one. Judith Rosner says that Cinderella, quote, she had a foul mouth and would not, doesn't read like a sentence, right? Better to do this. Judith Rosner claims that Cinderella had a foul mouth and would not dress decently. That reads like a sentence. Cinderella had a foul mouth. You just took out the she. You can move those quotation marks anywhere you want them. Here's another one. According to Judith Rosner, Cinderella's father, her father was a man of no... doesn't work. According to Judith Rosner, Cinderella's father was a man of no particular ability. It should it should integrate fluidly and read like a sentence. Okay. Here's another few example. Iago tells Othello in Act 3 to beware of jealousy, beware, my lord, of jealousy. Well, that doesn't integrate well. It doesn't start the sentence with a capital letter. Here's one thing you can do. That's what those brackets are for. If you change a letter from a lowercase into a capital letter, you can put those brackets. If you add an entire word, you can put brackets in. That just says, hello reader, this is not part of the original quote. This is me, the writer, modifying it for clarity, right? Iago tells Othello in Act 3 to beware, my lord, of jealousy. There's another way of repairing that top one, much smoother. Iago warns Othello in Act 3 to beware, ... also called an ellipses, of jealousy. That just says, I took out a word or words from the original quote. In this case, the words, my lord, right? One thing you want to do is have accurate, lively verbs to describe the author's attitude, right? These are all words that you can use as you introduce the quote and integrate it, right? The author comments, describes, analyzes, considers, compares, claims, disputes. Often we just say says, Johnson says, Smith says, right? These are all active words that each of which kind of describes this different attitude of the author towards their subject. Sometimes an author is arguing, sometimes they're just explaining. And that's it. So I hope this has been helpful. Good luck finding those credible, authoritative sources and integrating them into your essays.